Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Link to Fast Randomizer Tournament. And we have a game 2 match here here in the first round of our main bracket. How's it going, folks? I am Wolfling0370, and joining me on the mic is Dane. Dane, how did our runners get here?
Well, we saw P-Train was able to take game 1 in this series by about 3 minutes, and then jmeasher was able to take game 2 by about 30 seconds. So we've had two pretty close races so far, setting us up for a nice game 3 here, which setting up to be a very nice race as well.
Yeah, and the winner of this series will move on to face one up in the next round. The loser, this is single elimination, so they're out of the tournament.
Yeah, very high stakes we've got here.
And we're going to see what this tournament's all about here in just a little bit as our runners are about to get started. We are going to be, of course, starting in Link's house, but we're in the rain state. This is standard world state. This is how our tournament is going to be throughout the entire event. And we're going to get a random starting item from Uncle to start things off. What do you think we're going to get, Dane?
You know, I'm kind of hoping for Cane of Samaria today. I do like the magic startup items, and the Cane of Samaria has some pretty interesting strats with it. How about you?
Let's give him something a little spicy. Let's give him the bomb start.
All right, we're off. We'll get to see what's in this first chest. See, sometimes you'll get a really nice item for the escape here, but today we're just going to get 20 bucks.
I mean, early money's not that bad. So, folks, there is one other thing we should talk about here as we're going through the escape sequence. About 6 minutes of basic auto-scrolling here. We are playing in the hard mode state, which the item pool is going to be completely the same, except we are limited on the amount of progression as we can have, in which case we've already hit our progression limit on the green tunic, and that one and only bow we're going to start with, well, we're not going to progress to get silver arrows either. This is going to be a silverless Ganon fight guaranteed. And we get the mirror as well. A great find from both runners.
Yeah, that mirror in the early escape sequence is really nice because then when you get Zelda from her cell, you can just immediately mirror and skip all that backtracking out of Zelda's cell. So it really saves a lot of time, and it's just a great item to have. And that bow, also another good item for escape because you get to farm enemies rather easily. We did see a blue rupee on one of these runners' sides, which means the guards will not be dropping bombs today, but still have hope for the rats to give us some bombs.
Yes, that's because the enemies in this game can be shuffled to have a different prize pack than normal, but the prize packs themselves aren't shuffled. So by seeing a blue rupee, we know that is, I think, the money dropping pool. So that cannot have a bomb pack in it. Now, if we see a fairy in a drop pool, then that means we do have a bomb in that in the form of the 8 bomb pack. And of course, there is a chance that we can just straight up get just the bomb dropping pack, which has all of the bomb variations of drops 1, 4, 8. Really good item. Boots would also be a good find because we can just use those instead of the bomb, and boots are always fun.
That's right. You get some really fast times when you get the early boots in escape. If they were to have gotten the boots in that last check with the boots in the mirror and the bow, you'd see one of the fastest escape sequences you can see. But as of right now, you'll just be seeing kind of a regular fast one because you're going to not see any farming of these guards, and this mirror will allow them to save a lot of time.
Yeah, roughly about a minute of backtracking out of the dungeon all the way up to the throne room. So we're definitely going to see a potential sub 5-minute escape sequence, I think.
Yeah, especially if these runners are quickly shown that there are no bombs in the rat pool, because if you don't have to get those 3 items, then your escape exits even faster, though you probably prefer to spend the extra 30 seconds to pick up those 3 items if you can.
And yeah, that red ruby confirms that the guards are in the money dropping pool. So having that a lot of money this early is actually very nice because one of our most time-sensitive purchases we make is the bottle merchant at 100 rupees. So already having 90 rupees, they're going to have that ready to go for Kakariko. So they don't have to grind any extra rupees.
Absolutely. You need to get at least 50 to be able to have the rupees that are sitting around in Kakariko round you up to 100 for that merchant. Though at this point, we got to start worrying about perhaps having 50 for bombs as well. So definitely that early 20 will be helpful for P-Train.
All right, crossroads chest. Bailed out. Bombs right there. No need to grind the rats.
Yep, going to be able to get a really nice escape. No grinding necessary. Just going to be able to get to that back of escape for free.
And it's a good thing, because if we didn't get the bombs or the boots there, we'd have to come back with the glove, and if there's nothing there, then it's a waste of time. But this way, it's a nice, efficient routing for both runners.
Yeah, and to say if you do have to come back, the one thing is if you say you have to walk back through this escape sequence again because you can never get a glove, the light will still be there even without the lamp. That's if you're playing in standard mode, that's the only dark room that will be automatically lit up. We're seeing a map and just 350 rupees back here. That early money it's not bad because we might be doing a Zora check at some point, so it's nice to get that 300 out of the way, but nothing essential back there.
Yeah, nothing essential, but that puts us really close to Zora, which currently is not on logic, but could easily just as well be once we find the flippers or the glove. And yeah, there we go. 442 for jmeasher, an amazing escape time. P-Train coming out at around 450 when the altar moves over.
Yeah, just really showing off the power of that early mirror in escape. You get to save so much time in the backtracking. Yeah, well, looks like, so with that bow, the runners do have the option to go over to Eastern Palace whenever they want, which sometimes you'll see runners even elect to do Eastern Palace before Kakariko. Neither of these runners have done a map check, so not surprising to see them not go over there because they don't even know if Eastern's a pendant or crystal. But you can definitely keep it in mind whenever you get that bow early.
Yeah, Kakariko, though, having double-digit items in it, even without having full access to everything right there. And there's a glove as well. Poultry's given full magic as well. Very good item drops there.
Yep, the glove not giving us anything immediately yet, though with the glove and the mirror, we'll soon be able to go up to the mountain and get to Tower of Hera area if we were to get the lamp or the flute. And the glove also gives us stuff like Back of Desert, but the main reason you like having that glove is for the part that it gives you part of your Dark World access, so we just need a hammer or another glove and our Moon Pearl for that.
Now, just in case anyone's wondering what items are restricted here, because we didn't actually go over that, our runners are limited to having a maximum of 14 hearts, 7 of which are found in full heart containers. One of those is the Saint heart. They are limited to Tempered Sword, Fire Shield, the Green Tunic, and just the normal bow. Once they hit their limit, all of those remaining items in the pool turn into green piles of 20 rupees.
Yeah, and these choices were made, and we see their hammer there. That's very nice for just giving us even closer to Dark World access, just needing the Moon Pearl. And there's a sword as well, which again makes Eastern an easier play, and also you're gonna need some swords eventually. May as well get some early. But if, for those of you wondering, like why those items, like why did they choose 14 hearts? Why did they choose Tempered Sword? It's to kind of mimic the normal speedrun of this game from the NMG category, where you're kind of mimicking the loadout that you get with perhaps the ability to get a few extra safeties like multiple bottles. And here we see a map check with just Pendant on Tower of Hera and Crystals in Desert and Eastern.
Yeah, so they do want to go to Eastern Palace at some point. Not completely in logic because of the dark rooms, but maybe we can find a lamp on the way. Fire Out at least puts the boss in logic.
Yeah, with the loadout they currently have, though, I think you might see these runners put off Eastern Palace because they're just a Moon Pearl away from being able to combo Pod and Eastern together. And even if Pod's a pendant, you'll still see, like, a lot of times you'll have to dip in there anyway, so may as well, if you're going to make that dip, do it while you're going over to complete Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We're gonna see P-Train picking up some more bombs. jmeasher got a little bit luckier, it seems. Must have got another bomb from an enemy drop.
Yeah, perhaps one of those birds. Yeah, chat pointing out that with that early glove, there are some rocks that you can pick up in this game that have a 50-50 chance of getting a bomb, and perhaps jmeasher was able to pick up one of those, but still needing to go buy bombs because if you're going to do South Shore, you need bombs. You will need a bomb if you want to do the race game, though you can check that without having a bomb.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you can avoid using your bombs early on, but most often than not, you want more than just 0 leaving Kakariko. And a shovel on the library.
Yep, so depending on when we get the boots, we'll probably come back and get that. If we get the boots really late and don't really need many other items, they may put that off, but should we get our boots soon, definitely want to pick that up. We also see our first bottle up there on race game, so both these runners will probably want to get that since it's got a red potion in it, will be a nice safety, as well as we'll be able to use that bottle to get to the sick kid location, who requires you to have a bottle before he'll give you his item.
So do you save warp and then just go back to Kakariko and check that? Or do you double back? Or do you just put it off until later?
I would put it off till later. With this loadout, they're only one item away from Dark World access, so most, unless it's the Moon Pearl on Sick Kid, they can just check it when they come over to the Village of Outcasts area.
Looks like jmeasher might be going to check it before save quitting, which is what I would actually do probably. You're already in the area, you might as well check it before you leave.
Yeah, there's certainly some items that you could get from Sick Kid that would make you feel pretty good about the decision, so we'll see what he ends up giving us today. And meanwhile, on P-Train's side, we're seeing him elect to skip the dam and go right over to Mini Moldorm Cave right away.
And his reward, and jmeasher's reward with a fire rod, so fighting the Arma's Ice is in logic, provided the big key is not vanilla.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice find there for jmeasher. I would expect P-Train would get that at some point because when he's not going to, for instance, not go into Skull Woods because he doesn't have it, because he'll be going back over there to have to get into that area. However, what you're mentioning about Eastern Palace, and probably more importantly, Palace of Darkness, if that fire rod is our lamp is hiding somewhere deep, that fire rod will make completing those two dungeons much easier. We've seen a lot of tournament caliber runners have trouble, for instance, in that Dark Turtle room of Palace of Darkness.
And there's a green pile of 20 rupees there, as we mentioned earlier. That is an item that they are not allowed to have because of the hard mode. So, because we start with the bow, it could either be the silver arrows or it could be an armor upgrade. We can't tell, unfortunately. Unless it was a freestanding item.
So we can tell it's not the silvers, because the silver is just sitting around sometimes. So sometimes we can tell it's not the silvers at least. If it's an overworld item like that flute there was, then it would be, you'd still see it, but not for more mail upgrades.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but yeah.
Sorry.
If it's in a chest, you can't tell.
Yeah. Also, good point. So another thing to note about that flute, we probably won't have to, depending on when P-Train gets that, you may not have to worry about him not getting that fire rod, because if P-Train were to get that flute, you can just go over and activate it and get that fire rod, which looks like he's going over to that dam right now.
Yeah, I think P-Train here was doing a bit of a two-pronged route, as we see Quake there from jmeasher. P-Train already has that. I think he's going to go dam into Agina and just clear up that little loop. He just basically split it off so that he can make both trips a little bit more valuable.
For sure. Though I think getting the flute may make him change his mind, because it might be quicker to flute over to Agina than to walk from the dam.
I'd say it's comparably... I think it's comparable, because you have to save quit, walk over to turn on your flute, and then flute over, whereas you can just walk over. I think it's probably not a big time save, but it's probably just maybe like a second or two, faster or slower. It's pretty close, I can't tell.
Yeah, I think the main time save would be if you were to, you get basically the ledge check of the desert for free if you flute there, whereas if you were to just beeline to Agina, yeah, it's probably around the same time.
And P-Train just playing that flute constantly. He knows it's going to be activated soon. And jmeasher gonna go with the mountain, and this is actually a good play because we have access to Hera, and more importantly, we have access to Paradox Cave.
Yeah, and even with the fire source, we're able to full clear Hera should we want to, but it's a pendant, so we might not see that. Also, another note on P-Train's side, you see him holding out that sword there. If you release a sword spin right after you activate the flute, it makes it quicker to call the bird back. So that just tells you that P-Train's thinking about immediately fluting here and wants to do it as quickly as possible. Though, actually, he's going to go to Sig Kid anyway, so not going to actually take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think he realized that he didn't have Sig Kid yet, and he probably should. Lusher from the old man, though. That's not in logic because we need an actual lamp for that, but could come into play later. We can also save it for fake powder.
Yeah, but it's nice to sometimes just save and quit over to Link's house and use that flipper portal to the south of Link's house to turn it in next time you save and quit. And then if it's nothing, you can save scum it. Because being on hard item pool, it's even nice to save that mushroom, not just for the fake powder to actually collect the item, but for fake powdering in some locations like Ganon's Tower or Misery Mire or Turtle Rock if they go awry. It can be really helpful.
That's a Master Sword right there for jmeasher. He's going to go get that immediately.
Very nice find there. We're going to need at least 2 swords to beat this game, so that will give us enough in the minimum case that we'd really like to get a third one, and also just will help you do more damage as you're going through these dungeons.
So it's either we find the lamp, or we find the Moon Pearl, and then we have a Dark World access. Lamp, though, is not the ideal one to find, because that means we have to fight the wizard known as Aghanim.
Yeah, it's kind of a low odds at this point, though it's randomizer, so anything can happen, because the only way we'll need to do Aghanim is either there's an item on that Lumberjack, we have not seen it checked by either of these runners yet, or Moon Pearl on the Pyramid Ledge. And we're seeing a map check. We've got red crystals on Thieves Town and Swamp Palace, green pendant Mire, and blue pendant Ice Palace, with all the rest being crystals.
So we did need that fire rod, confirmed.
And we're seeing a bit of divergence here. P-Train electing to go into Eastern Palace right away, whereas jmeasher is going to continue up with the mountain, having access to Hera and the east side of Death Mountain.
Yeah, both ways make perfect sense. You're getting dungeons done, although jmeasher is doing a pendant dungeon. But for all we know, the Moon Pearl could be just vanilla. It could be in the big chest. And wow, what a find there. jmeasher getting the hook shot out of the ground floor. Not even going to bother trying to do the bomb setup for Herapod. Just going to immediately leave. He might not even know that, actually.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice little free Herapod there with the hookshot. That hookshot location's not too bad for P-Train, provided he goes to the mountain relatively soon, because the main reason you would not do Hera again is if you were to get the hookshot and then use that to go to East Death Mountain. However, since the hookshot is in Hera and it's in one of the bottom chests, you'd expect P-Train to come back for that and get that as well.
jmeasher is definitely going to come out of the mountain, though. We just saw a floating island. There's our Titan's mitts on P-Train. But yeah, floating island is the flippers, and we need those for Swamp Palace. So we're finding a lot of items really fast suddenly. We're not even 20 minutes in.
Yeah, we're actually to the point where you might want to start thinking, okay, what other items do we need? We just saw the Titan's mitts on P-Train's side, so we know that you can get those flippers. He'll be able to get those flippers first try up here. So what else are we going to need? Well, we might need our boots to beat Desert Palace, because that's a crystal, so 2 remains to be seen. We're going to need the Ice Rod to beat Turtle Rock. We'll need the Cane of Samaria to beat Turtle Rock, and we'll need a medallion to get into Turtle Rock. So we could just be needing the Ice Rod and the Cane of Samaria for Go Mode already, and also the Moon Pearl, obviously. You kind of forget about that when you're listing Go Mode items. And yeah, chat pointing out that you do actually need the Moon Pearl. You can get up there through Super Bunny Cave, but you will be left wanting with that rock and outside of Hookshot Cave to get to that flippers.
Well, it's 2 out of 3 odds we can get in Turtle Rock now with Bombos picked up for jmeasher. And we're checking the upper floor here, or lower floor. It's Paradox. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so with the Ice Rod is a well-known hide-and-seek champion, so you never feel uneasy when that's part of your Go Mode, but also you may be walking away with being like 3 items away from Go Mode, with one of them being your Moon Pearl, if P-Train were to go up the mountain next.
And this is jmeasher checking the mushroom. I imagine he will reset because he just saved. And a pretty clean Ganon, or not Ganon, Armos fight there. Why am I getting my bosses mixed up? We're not even 20 minutes in.
The item placements, they're just coming at us so fast. So definitely understandable. Getting that crystal though on P-Train's side, and we'll see jmeasher probably going to want to follow him over to that eastern. It's a nice crystal you can clear out, and there's 3 items plus the 3 items in Saha's hut. Though we're going to go over to Ice Rod Cave, looks like.
No, he is going to go over to Sahasrara, I think, for P-Trainer. Oh, no, wait, you're talking about jmeasher. Yeah, okay. A little confused there. But yeah. P-Train gonna talk to Sahasrara and get the information about the green pendant. And in the back, we have 10 arrows, the Moon Pearl, and the Piece of Heart. So there's our Dark World access. Aghanim is completely off the table unless he has the Ice Rod at this point.
Yeah, and the world's really open to P-Train with getting that, now having the mitts and the hammer and the Moon Pearl and flute in the mirror. So you can really go wherever you want. We'll see where he decides.
Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. You've got everything you need for Skullwoods. You're definitely going to be going to do it. And you have also everything you need for Thieves Town. Village of Outcasts and the Skullwoods area, pretty much an ideal play right now from P-Train.
For sure. There's two fully clearable crystals over here that he can do. And he even can beat Palace of Darkness at this point, too. So you may just want to do all your dungeons and see where you're at, being this close to... He doesn't know about how close he is to go mode because the flippers and the hookshot are both on the mountain. But the good part about both of those being on the mountain is you'll never have to worry about doing a hookless swamp looking for your hookshot because the flippers are right by where the hookshot is.
There is still a chance that P-Train might if he actively avoids going into independent dungeons if he can help it. But that is a long shot possibility. I would need to be in the mind of the runner, and I'm not. Kate found, though, in Sea House.
The one good thing about this particular pendant dungeon is that whenever P-Train elects to go to the mountain, he's going to pass right by Tower of Hera. And when you're right there, you might as well check the bottom 2 chests, see if there's a quick item, and that's where the hookshot is. But yeah, it's definitely possible that some runners will not even go into the pendant dungeons.
Yeah, Hera in particular only having 2 items may not seem worth. Could it just be the map Smolky, for all they know? We obviously know it's not, but it can definitely weigh the odds against an early dip.
Meanwhile, jmeasher is covering what P-Train just did in Eastern, so he'll get his Titan Smiths in the very shortly. And P-Train's giving us our first look at Thieves Town. See what items we can get in here.
Well, we already found 2 items here, and I think we found the big key, unless it's here.
Yeah, we got the big key.
3 items, so we had the powder as well.
Yep, don't need to worry about fake powdering. We've got our real powder here. So there's only going to be 1 more item somewhere in Thieves Town, but the main reason you're beating this is for the crystal. Thieves Town, even if you were to be able to do it in go mode, is not really much faster at all. So no reason to put it off if you can full clear it.
Now I'm trying to think. I think it's either going to be a dungeon item or the 4th item upstairs. Because I'm trying to think about key logic and how the worst case keys can be used. I don't think the small key can be upstairs.
Yes, I believe that is a good point, because the small key could be stolen from here to go down to Blind's hut, so this upstairs one should not be a small key.
Yeah, and that's simply put for those who are curious about key logic. Basically, for every single available small key, it sees every available door and assumes that you used every single key in every single door, and the last one you used is the last one you opened. So, common example is Desert Palace with the small key in the back. You could use that to open the right side, but then you wouldn't be able to get to the boss. So for the key logic's sake, you need the big key and the small key for desert in order to consider that dungeon in logic. There. It's usually
Yeah.
only seen in entrance. That's usually only seen in entrance though, but it still applies.
Yeah, it sometimes comes up if you have a seed where you do not get the boots, there's a small key on the desert torch, and the big key is in the middle chest. Because then you can just take that big key, go to the back, even though for the as far as when the game was building the sequence of events you would need to do to beat the seed, it would say that you needed the boots to beat desert. So in that case, you would know that the boots could not be anywhere behind desert. So if desert's a crystal, can't be in Ganon's tower. Or if it was a pendant, couldn't be on the pedestal.
Yeah, and with no small key here on P-Train's side, the big chest is the small key, so it has locked itself. Which is something that the logic can do. And what does this mean for the logic of Thieves Town? It means blind is by logic hammer locked.
Yep, and he hasn't. That's important if blind is say a pendant, and you're worried about hammer being or something leading to hammer being on pedestal, for instance. Or if blind gives you something, then you know that that item is locked by the hammer, so you can't have the hammer. So if you got the flippers off blind in this situation, you would know that the hammer could not be in any of the flipper locations.
Yeah, and also, it also matters when you have the 5-6 crystals like we do here on Thieves Town, because that means, say if we didn't have the hammer, it means the hammer could not be on the Pyramid Fairy, which is rare, but I have seen it before.
Yep, that's a good point. So we'll see jmeasher gonna go follow after doing Eastern, gonna go into Palace of Darkness here, and we'll see where P-Train decides to go after he clears out this Village of Outcasts. Still got some other dungeons he can be, like Skullwoods and Palace of Darkness.
Alright, second green 20 found for P-Train, which means we definitely have found at least an armor upgrade at this point.
Yeah, because the seed has been relatively low on hearts, so it would be a lot easier if this were a normal seed and you were on blue or red mail, but these runners are very skilled, so they've been able to manage just fine with 6 and 7 hearts.
Yeah, they still need to be careful though, because some of the late game stuff, like the Chain Chomps and Ganon himself, they have enough damage available to them that they could one-shot him even with his health total.
Yep, there's a lot of scary enemies in those later game dungeons, and even Helmasaur can be a bit troublesome if you're on 6 hearts, because he does 2 hearts of damage himself, so you can get into some trouble there.
Yeah, other bosses I think would be trouble with this health total would be Moth and Blind if you get off script. Because if you don't do the script setup in which you hit him every single time and he does the same things, Blind can actually be a very dangerous fight.
Yep, you don't appreciate it because these runners are so good at it and they normally stay on the script, but if that fight goes wrong, it can go pretty wrong. So jmeasher has already gotten 2 keys out of the Palace of Darkness, so there has to be at least 4 in this front, and there's our 3rd one. There can be up to 6, but there has to be at least 4. So with the current key layout, we don't really get any information. If you were to, say, find 2 non-keys, like that big key there, then you would know that, like, if the next chest is a dungeon item or an item, then we'd know that the last chest in the front is a small key. But with this particular layout, it hasn't been too helpful.
Yeah. Thankfully, though, once again, that key logic come into place. There's the keys here are seeing the entrance door, the one towards the big chest, the one towards the vanilla big key chest, the one in the back that leads to the big chest, and then the final door, which you may not think about, is why we need 4 keys in the front, is the way to Helmasaur King is locked by a small key.
Yeah, and there we see that map, so we know that this one over here is going to be a small key, and that's an interesting point, because actually pod key logic, it makes it impossible for the keys to be in their normal in-game location, because it's impossible to lock yourself out of the in-game dungeon, because you need to get the hammer to waste that small key on the way to Helmasaur, and the hammer's in this dungeon, so the worst thing you could do, you'd have to use up the keys to get to the hammer, and then you can't really lock yourself out. Whereas in Randomizer, you could just walk in here with the hammer already and use the keys however you want. And one thing to point out about what jmeasher is doing, So sometimes when you see the runners get 2 small keys and the big key, like he did over there, they'll go straight to Helmasaur, but jmeasher electing to go to the back first, maybe wanting to get some other item, maybe like the lamp or something to make the dark rooms easier. That Ether medallion we see there on jmeasher's side could come into play. Now we know for sure we have the Turtle Rock medallion, so we really are just in Ice Rod, Cane of Samaria, and maybe Boots from Commentator No Mode.
Yeah, just having the all 3 medallions means doesn't matter if it's Quake, Ether, or Bombers to enter Misery Mire, Turtle Rock. We have the medallions, we can get in regardless. So it's just Cane of Samaria, Flippers, possibly. Well, actually, no, we know where the Flippers is, so it's just Cane of Samaria, Ice Rod, and potentially Boots, depending on the key placement of Turtle, or not Turtle Rock, Desert. And for all we know, the Boots could be required to fight Aghanim for the item on the Lumberjack tree.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We still have not seen that checked, and honestly, I don't expect to see it yet. But maybe P-Train will see it now that we got those boots. So that's a good find there for P-Train because he did the mount. He did that Smith chain really early and really didn't come up with anything for it. But those boots definitely going to be helpful because they might be required and they just let you go fast. So I was saying that I probably wouldn't expect to see them check the Lumberjack for a while because they have so many other checks to do. But with those boots, you probably see that actually relatively soon from Pre-Train as soon as he goes and does the other boot checks.
And there we go with Hype Cape, 10 backup bombs to start. Our container, our 3rd sword, and a bunch more bombs. So collectively, we also know where Tempered Sword is, so we don't have to worry about a Master Silverless fight. I'm sure jmeasher and P-Train will find their 3rd swords in the other locations.
Yeah, really, it would be really hard to imagine P-Train skipping that interior of Spectacle Rock, considering we know he's going to have to go up the mountain that direction at some point, and very likely jmeasher will go into Hype Cave.
Yeah, which is good because the Ganon fight on Master Sword, it looks easy from our runners as we see Quake for Misery Mire, but it is not that easy because Master Sword slashes do not work on Ganon. We would have to spin attack him, I believe, upwards of 52 times, I think.
Yep, 52 exactly. There's that Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, that was literally just right there in front of Misery Mire's entryway. So yeah, it's Ice Rod for Go Mode, and unfortunately, well, Commentator Go Mode, I should say. No mode, whatever. But the more to the point is, that Ice Rod can be anywhere.
Yeah, that Ice Rod can be anywhere, and if you're a P-Train, you're probably going to be faced with, depending on his route, if he goes into Palace of Darkness, if we're climbing the mountain, you may be faced with the choice to go into Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod. I don't know if jmeasher may be a little less likely to get that because he's already been up the mountain, so he'd only be going up there for the Dark Death Mountain side. He either may not have gotten the cane by then or would have the Ice Rod. But it's definitely going to... There's still a lot of things that could happen in the seed, even with just that one item left.
To answer the question in the chat, we do know... Okay, never mind. I misread the statement. And yeah, we were talking about the ski logic here, and look at that! Small key on the torch. So boots were required, logically, for this seed.
And we see jmeasher showing just how annoying Helmasaur can be with doing 2 hearts with all his attacks, using that red potion for some safety, which is, it's much better to use your red potion there than take it to death to Helmasaur, and is able to defeat him. So very nice. Yeah,
very nice fight indeed. And yeah, that is another crystal for jmeasher. Alright, so one item here coming up for P-Train, and then actually no, it could still be the other dungeon item. Yeah. So it's Big Key, it's Big Chest and Lambles that have the 2 items here in Desert.
Yep, and we know that that's not only logically boots locked, that is hard boots locked because the Big Key was not in that middle chest. So we do know that that purple chest, so purple chest being required, I think that's very good for P-Train because the Smith chain is, they just have so many checks open to them. It's going to be hard to imagine when jmeasher will elect to get those boots.
jmeasher, meanwhile, is going to at least do the Dark Death Mountain side of checks, which means he will begin the Flippers. And with the Flippers, actually with this loadout, can go in full clear Swamp Palace. which is the other 5-6 crystal. And he can easily just go up north from there and go into Village of Outcasts, take care of Thieves Town, and Skull Woods. I don't know why I said Pot there.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting about where where the ice rod ends up being in this scene, because just when looking at where these runners are, it's hard to really say who's ahead because it really is going to depend where that ice rod is. So if, like, for instance, jmeasher gets his flippers up here, goes into Swamp Palace and clears that out and gets the ice rod, that would be really good for him because it's unlikely P-Train has to climb up the mountain and he'll have access to Turtle Rock minus the ice rod by then. So he may be tempted to dip into Turtle Rock. Whereas on the flip side, should the ice rod be in Turtle Rock, then that's going to be a big advantage for P-Train.
And Chad has reminded me that we've already seen the first item was a bottle, which I've already completely wrote out of my brain because it was a bottle with a B in it. But yeah, Bumble Center, Turtle Rock already opened up for jmeasher. Let's go ahead and see what we have over in Super Bunny.
And then P-Train able to handle that Lennon Molas with the Fire Rod, able to get rid of the first two really quickly, and then just needed to get a couple of slashes on that last one to finish it off.
Only a couple heart pieces here in Super Bunny Cave, unfortunately. Dane, do you remember where Bombos was?
I believe that was in Pod in the Dark Maze. I know Ether was in the Rupee basement.
Oh, there's another green Pod 20. Measher's movement is pretty good here. There's our third bottle, second for jmeasher.
jmeasher gonna get his flippers. P-Train gonna go in and finish out Pod. Makes a lot of sense. This is a fully clearable crystal, and probably gonna try to want to consolidate as few mountain trips as possible. So may as well just beat out these crystals that you can do down here before heading up there.
Alright, jmeasher, where are you going? Looks to be Swamp?
That's what it looks like, yep.
Yeah, I remember Bumbles being fairly early, so I think it was East of Mountain, which makes one understands why P-Train doesn't have it. So real quick here, folks, shout outs to our tracker, Mike and Kobe, doing the items, keeping those items up to date for you. You're down there. Got a little bit of time before we're going to see another new check here, but he's definitely doing some great work behind the scenes.
Absolutely. These races where the runners are doing completely different things can be pretty difficult to track because you have to balance clicking the right button on the right time when the runners collect items you already know about and still paying attention for a new item. So definitely doing a great job keeping us honest.
Oh, P-Train doing the zigzag hover.
Yeah, that's one of the most difficult hovers that you can pull off in normal runs, but it also is one of the most time-saving ones. So that's a really nice time save there by P-Train. We got our first look at Swamp Palace over here from jmeasher. We're seeing the compass there.
Yeah, no Samaria, so jmeasher probably won't be doing any sort of diver down shenanigans unless he knows the bomb setup over the Samaria one. It's not that bad if he doesn't, though. It just saves a little bit of convenience in routing.
Yep, and we'll see if he elects to do the left side because it's going to be Like he's doing this so much earlier than P-Train will, so it's likely that one of these runners will elect to do it. Whereas, because like P-Train's he's either going to be in go mode or down to a few locations by the time he gets here. So I think his choice will be a little bit easier than jmeasher, whereas jmeasher still got a lot of the world open to him. May not feel as needed to do the left side here.
P-Train's gonna run into Ether here in just a little bit, I think. And there we go.
And it looks like jmeasher is going to go over to the left side here and check out these items. Having already gotten the compass, you know, it's pretty likely there's going to be at least one item over here. Well, there has to be at least one. It could be the big key leading to one in the worst case, I guess.
Now, something I just remember here, actually, is... Okay, he's doing diver down.
Yep. Once you flood that key on the left side, you are fully committed to doing diver down, or else you'll have to reset the dungeon. And gets it first try, so very nice.
Yeah, and this is the other shell for diver down, because he left just before the bomb finished exploding, which flipped the switch for him, which is really nice. But yeah, something that just crossed my mind, with that, as we get the cane of burner there, actually, for P-Train, I didn't even see that before. With the boots, we have access to the shovel, and the dig spot could have our ice rod.
Yeah, that's a good point. So whenever P-Train, we'll see when, because that's kind of a out of the way location for P-Train, having already done Smith Chain and Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts, everything over there. So we kind of have to just deliberately go over there for that shovel. We saw our first item on left side of Swamp, just a red rupee there for jmeasher, and there's the map. So not anything important over here on the left side today.
Yeah, the only thing we're looking for at this point is the ice rod, and it can literally be anywhere, except for on Tridex and GT.
Yeah, it's you never like it when you're ice rod. These runners don't yet know that they're ice rod from go mode, because jmeasher does not know where the cane is, and P-Train does not know where the flippers or the hookshot are, but we know that they're both just an ice rod away.
Yeah, ideally they want Tempered Sword, but both runners have a different Master Sword, so they'll find Tempered eventually as well.
Yep, P-Train just needs to go into his Spectacle Rock interior, and jmeasher just needs to go into Hype Cave.
Maybe wisely killing the gels so that they don't get in the way.
Getting a nice bomb diver down on the first try again. Also seeing P-Train showing how useful that fire rod is there, make that turtle room much easier than it is in the dark. And Swamp Palace turning up nothing so far.
Yeah, it's been nothing but health, it looks like. Of course, the boss could have the last item, for all we know.
Yeah, but actually, going to be the big key or the last item.
Oh yeah, I don't think we've seen the big key yet.
Yeah, we're still in 50-50. It's going to lead to the last item either way, but if you're in the situation, you're definitely hoping that you don't get the big key, because you hate having to go back in here by force. And P-Train having the boots able to use the spin speed strategy over here on Helmasaur to extend that hammer hitbox upwards, making quick work of Helmasaur King there, so very nice.
Yeah, it's just a matter where that ice rod is at this point. P-Train hasn't been up on the mountain yet, and honestly, after this and doing Skull Woods rather, really, there's nothing really that he wants to do otherwise. He's gonna save Orb out of the Dark World for now.
Yep, I agree. I think he'll go do Skullwoods, probably do those booch checks at some point, and then go up the mountain.
Well, he's footing away, so he's not going to start the mountain just yet.
And yeah, we see that last item in Swamp Palace is just 20 rupees. So that's not very nice there for jmeasher, because his kind of advantage in his route over P-Train was knowing where the flippers are. But the flippers haven't really led to anything yet, and Swamp Palace was the main spot where you could see him gaining an advantage over P-Train. So gonna have to look for an advantage somewhere else.
Well, you say that, but we actually have not seen stuff like the Hobo. We haven't seen Zora. We haven't seen the Waterfall Cave yet. None of those have been checked yet. Those could still have our Ice Rod.
Absolutely.
But our runners at this point are pretty good runners. They probably know how to do the fake flipper trick. They just didn't go over that way yet.
I guess P-Train has not yet done Hammer Peg, so maybe he'll grab his shovel if he remembers it from the library over here.
Yep, and there's our tempered sword for jmeasher.
Yep, with that, definitely most likely going to see our tempered sword from P-Train because he won't be able to get his gumbo before checking that spectacle rock because we know that you kind of have to take that way to get up to that hook shot in Tower of Hera.
And P-Train's route here is actually pretty good because he can lead this into checking Bonk Rock's King's Tomb and Graveyard Ledge, and then route that further to Catfish Zora. And then route that even further to backtracking to go to Hobo. And maybe into Ice Palace, if he needs to.
So for a quick recap for those joining us, basically the main divergent point is jmeasher did the Mountain Tower of Hera earlier, got the hook shot, and the flippers, eventually the flippers were on Floating Island, whereas P-Train has been sticking more to the below the mountain stuff and has gotten stuff like his boots from the purple chest. And we are Ice Rod from no mode, though P-Train still needs to get his flippers and jmeasher still needs to get his Cane of Samaria from the Mire area.
Not to mention P-Train also needs to get the hookshot out of the lobby of Hera.
Yes, very good point.
And also Bombos from the Paradox Cave as well, but he'll run into that eventually on his mountain checks. Because we do need that to enter Turtle Rock.
Yep. And we're seeing jmeasher going to follow P-Train into Skull Woods. P-Train doing Skull Woods back to front, which is the standard you do when you have a Crystal Skull Woods and have the Fire Rod, because maybe the two items are back here. Don't need to even worry about doing the front at all.
Gonna do Hammermoth strats. Moth Carpenter eating a little bit, but not too much. And there we go, Moth down.
Very good fight there. Able to keep the Moth at bay. Seeing the big key there, which that's another reason why you do the back first, because you might get the big key back here and then need to go double dip the front anyway. P-Train going to give us our first look at the bridge chest. We have not seen any items yet in Skullwoods. Well, actually, was there an item in that Gibdo chest? I don't think there was.
The center chest had a map. I believe P-Train did check that on his way to the back here. And P-Train's just going to mirror out. Or save quit out. Not checking the front.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm a bit surprised to see him save and quit to the mountain rather than Sanctuary. I thought he might want to check the boots checks before coming up to the mountain, but looks like he wants to do the mountain first. So gonna get his tempered sword over here and side Spectacle Rock Cave. We'll see if he decides to dip into Hera for that hook shot, and we'll certainly see those flippers up on the floating island.
I mean, this is his final dungeon that he can clear right now with Turtle Rock, or at least try to. So he's basically following his crystal dungeons at this point, which this is going to reward him, but if he avoids doing Hera, that's actually going to be a big detriment because that's where our hookshot is.
Yeah, I thought he might want to do the boots. He's got King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, and Lumberjack first, but I guess he wants to put those off, maybe not have to check them at all. And P-Train's going to go for this bomb jump over here, which saves a lot of time coming out of here, able to get it. That's one of the few 3-tile wide gaps that you can bomb jump in this game. You have to kind of clip through the wall a little bit, but very nice there by P-Train to get it first try. And jmeasher had the tempered sword for his moth fight, so was able to get rid of him a little bit quicker. It's really nice to have that tempered sword for that fight.
It really is, yeah. Tempered sword is just nice to have in general.
And P-Train is going to dip in here, so he'll get his hook shot. He might leave just like jmeasher did right afterwards, but we'll get the hook shot for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if P-Train goes up a little bit higher to check for the second item in the compass chest. But no, get a mirror out. That's fine.
Yep, and he's only so he's, from his point of view, 2 maybe 3 items away from go mode because he knows he needs the flippers and the ice rod and does not know about bombos yet, but he'll see the flippers right over here. So I guess it makes a lot of sense to skip that checks that's been available for a while.
Yeah, I think he saw it in the corner of his vision there.
Yeah.
jmeasher, meanwhile, is checking the front half of Skullwoods. We did not see this from P-Train.
Yeah, and we'll see what P-Train... This is going to be a big decisive moment here for P-Train. We'll see if he decides, once he gets that Bombos medallion over here, if he decides to go into Turtle Rock lacking the ice rod but having everything else he needs for it. One thing to consider, with Swamp Palace being a crystal and probably the best location to check, there's really no hope of going to Ice Rod, going there, looking for the Ice Rod and saving your portal. You're basically committing, okay, I'm either getting it here or I'm not going to get it and I'm going to have to do Turtle Rock twice.
Well, Moth was guarding the second item. It wasn't the big the big chest rather, but it was just a heart piece in Skull Woods. So P-Train dodged the bullet there.
Yeah, hard to imagine when he'd come back to check that isolated. I guess he would probably want to do it with maybe Bonk Rocks or something, but yeah, it's pretty isolated, so definitely not getting punished for skipping that.
There's bottle 3 now for P-Train. Oh, something else that we can have is the ice rod could be in Pyramid Fairy.
Absolutely, that ice rod, it's got a lot of options. This could be a really quick seed, or it could be a really long seed if ice rod is hiding on I don't know, on Vitreous or that green pendant. Probably won't see those runners doing that anytime soon. So yeah, it's got a lot of options, including that Pyramid Fairy.
We have not seen the Zora's Domain region at all from either runner as well, so ice rod could be up there. Could be on Pedestal, could be in Misery Mire, could be in Ice Palace. There's just way too many spots it could be, let's be honest.
Yeah, we can cross off Tot Rhinex, we can cross off the, 23 plus 4 checks in GT, it's 27, so, yeah, there's a lot of other locations. And looks like P-Train's going to save and quit, not going to follow that Bombos into Turtle Rock. Which makes a lot of sense, because you got Swamp Palace, it's got 6 items, plus the Pyramid Fairy afterwards. So that's a total of 8 items down here. Sometimes when you get late in the game and there's like 5 checks below the mountain and 6 checks in Turtle Rock, then you'll see our runners start to gamble, because then it's basically 50-50 with also some logical, maybe you're betting that it's going to be deeper in the seed. Whereas right now it's more like a 30% chance that it's up there with how many locations P-Train's got left. Maybe even worse because you've got all those pendant dungeons.
Yeah, and there's also, of course, there's a lot of just one-off locations we can't even possibly check yet, which is the tablets. It's the shovel, which we have available to us, but we haven't picked up yet, is also an option. There is just so many places this ice rod can be. There's no way we can predict it.
Yeah, because it definitely looks like P-Train has a lead, having gotten those boots early, because jmeasher is still going to have to do Smith Chain to get those. The Cane of Samaria is just sitting over in that Mire shed, so that's not really going to be an issue for jmeasher, but those boots, they have been a problem, P-Train having the boots for a good 30 minutes now. And the Smith Chain is not a particularly tempting location right now, and it gets getting more tempting as jmeasher's closing out the other checks, like the Pendant, the Crystal Dungeons, but with the Ice Rod, anything's possible.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind about that. Looks like jmeasher will be the first one to check Pyramid Fairy, though, based on what we see here.
Yep, and we still haven't seen the pyramid ledge or catfish, so it's a nice time to check those as well.
Could even route across to check. Actually, no, it would be no. They can hook shot. You're right. Right.
Yeah, because no one has done any of those North Dark World. There's still a lot of overworld that has not been checked with with that whole loop there. So, and then there's the whole Zora area, of course.
I mean, at this point, it could just be on the Green Pendant. We've had access to Myers for a very long time, even before we had Dark World access.
Yeah, we got the we were able to get as soon as they got their Titan's mitts, because we know the Cane of Samaria is just sitting in that shed. They got the flute really early, so yeah, and the Quake medallion was also pretty early, which is what's blocking Misery Mire.
And I think our runners have hit progression limit on either hard containers or hard pieces. I can't tell which. So we're going to see a lot more 20 rupees coming up.
Yeah, we don't know if Sankhart's out in the wild yet, if they've gotten that or not, but because P-Train could get up to 14, but we don't know if it's going to be from heart pieces or Sankhart or what. Let's see where jmeasher likes to go. He does have he's going to go to the Mire area, so he'll get his Cane of Samaria from here.
There we go. It was heart pieces, 14. There was 2 in those chests, and he just got his 4th.
Yep, so we must have found Sankhart somewhere in the world and just not noticed.
Could have been our first Arcanator, actually, for all we know. jmeasher about to find his Cane of Samaria here in Mire Shed, which is really good for him.
Yeah, you have to wonder, so jmeasher, what does he have left before he gets forced into that Smith chain? He'll probably do the Pyramid Fairy loop, and may all go up to Catfish even all the way. Could all go all the way to Graveyard Ledge, though he doesn't have the boots, so he doesn't have Bone Crocs and King's Tomb on that way. So yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see where he likes to go after finishing. Well, he's going to get locked out of Desert. P-Train showing us a really nice 0 cycle Argus right there. That's not an easy trick to pull off, so really cool to see that pulled off in the run here.
Yeah, and tries to go for the quick kill on the second phase, but unfortunately misses a swing. Gonna pick up the crystal here. That is crystal number 6 for P-Train. Just need that ice rod, and we can go to GT.
Yep, the most official of ice rod hunts now. You've got all your crystals. All you need to do is beat Turtle Rock, and you just gotta just go where the ice rod is, and you'll win the seed. But who knows where that's gonna be?
And jmeasher now realizing that it is a Boots Lock seed, and has no idea where to go. Gonna check checkerboard cave here. I don't recall if P-Train did this or not. I forget.
I believe he did, but I think it was it's just 50.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we're gonna see. Sorry.
I think we have the same thought. We're gonna see P-Train potentially going into Ice Palace here in just a little bit.
Yeah, and we also got to get the blind Lake Hylia Island check because neither of these runners had checked it because none of them did flippers or anything in the early game.
Yeah, P-Train avoiding Left Side Swamp. But thankfully we know that is just a rupee amount of some kind. I forget what. I think it's a red.
Yep, good old red 20. And just a small shield from the hobo today. And yeah, now, so Misher is going to be faced with the decision that P-Train was earlier, except he already has the Bombos medallion. So once he sees that he goes into, maybe it looks like actually that's where he's going because he's already done Dark Death Mountain. So this is a gamble here for jmeasher, but could absolutely pay off if the Ice Rod's in here.
Oh, Jamie's actually maybe thinking, oh no, just scrolling the Dead Rocks off. And P-Train is following suit, actually.
Yeah, perhaps they're figuring, okay, we got Turtle Rock. There's a lot of items, and there's 6 items. And jmeasher, he also needs the boots, so he's got double odds, thinking, okay, I can go in here, maybe the Ice Rod's in here, and if not, maybe it's the boots, and I need those anyway. P-Train, on the other hand, is kind of more hard committing to the Ice Rod, but they also do have Spike Cave and a second item pair up here as well.
All right, our first look into Turtle Rock here. And there's still a lot of overlap from both runners. We still have the Pyramid Ferry. We still have, I believe, no one's checked Cave South off of Grove. The shovel hasn't been checked yet, and we know where that is. And no one's been up to see Zora either.
Or the waterfall one, yeah. So there's still a good amount of overworld. So it's a bit surprising to see these runners both in Turtle Rock, but this is a game 3. You've got to take your chances and let those chances determine your fate, really.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This has been a really good race. And with your tournament life on the line, you got to make some rather aggressive decisions here, even if you don't want to. Alright, jmeasher with a roughly, what do you think, 30-second lead through Turtle Rock here?
Yeah, something like that. P-Train having the boots may be able to make up a bit of time through this dungeon, but it really is just going to come down to where the ice rod is, I guess. So there are still some checks that they can both do that they can preserve their portal with, like the Pyramid Fairy Catfish checks. They can save their portal and do those. So perhaps they're considering those.
Yeah, those are an option. There's just way too many odds here. I can't even begin to fathom all the decisions they can make.
Yeah, because sometimes when you do this Turtle Rock play, you have to kind of weigh, okay, which checks do I want? Where are my quickest checks that I can do while still preserving this the portal to make it so you don't have to go as far through Turtle Rock if you don't find the ice rod in here. And then you got to make a decision, when do you just give up on the portal? So for instance, like they've both done Swamp, but if jmeasher has not done the Smith's Chain, so he would probably, if he ever were to decide that he wants to check the Smith's Chain, would have to give up on that portal.
And at this point, I think if jmeasher does the Smith Chain and we eventually finds the boots there, he'll know he's lost. Because
yeah.
if his opponent did it early, he's had the boots for how long now? Just an overwhelming advantage. And he knows it's required too, so...
The one thing about purple chess is you really have no idea how your opponent does. So I think for that particular location, you might not feel as bad because a lot of runners will put that off, but we know that P-Train elected to do it very early and was rewarded with those boots.
Alright, let's see what Mimic Cave has in store. This is basically just might as well be an extension of Turtle Rock.
Quick swap medallion usage. You'll sometimes see those with quick swap who's trying to use the hammer. Mimics are not affected by quick medallion.
And unfortunately, getting sword beams on the green Gorias.
So you can see just the boots. P-Train's already, he's so much closer to jmeasher than he was at the start of this dungeon just from having the boots and just some nice execution getting through here.
Yeah, you can really tell the execution is coming to play here along with those boots. Going to the back of Turtle Rock now. Laser Bridge coming up.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke how common Ice Rod on Laser Bridge ends up being in this game, so we'll see if it ends up being the same thing today.
I mean, the more common thing I joke about is bow on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, we wouldn't know about that today because it would just be a green 20 for us, and there's a lot of different green 20s in the world right now with them both having 13 and 14 hearts.
Yeah. Just for me, it just always ends up being here for some reason.
And these runners both showing us this this kind of roller coaster in the dark, not having the lamp. Once you know the layout of this room, this dark room is not so bad. You just gotta know which directions to hold and when.
Yeah, because there's really only like 3 junctions after you flip the door switch that you need to worry about, and they're literally the first First junction you hit after making a turn.
Looks like jmeasher is going to go for that safety door. Being down to 4 hearts definitely makes a lot of sense. You do not want to take a death here.
Small key in the first chest. There's the map. Compass. Last chance.
Suspense on both screens and the wrong blue item.
It's the right color, wrong item. It's the blue boomerang.
So we're back to our regularly scheduled everywhere in the world ice run hunt.
And Jamie's just gonna pick up the key here and just get sniped by the jmeasher. Wow, did that do 4 hearts a I didn't realize it did that much damage. I thought it did 3.
Yep, those Turtle Rock loves to do 4 hearts of damage with pokies and chain chomps and the lasers, and I think even those floating skeleton heads. I can't remember if they're 3 or 4.
I mean, the chain chomps, if they charge at you, they do like 6 hearts of damage. They hurt a lot. Second highest damage source in the game outside of Ganon's contact damage.
Yeah, absolutely. They can be terrifying. We're seeing P-Train did not do Spiral Cave yet because of his routing of Death Mountain. It looks like jmeasher is going right into Ice Palace. Not even going to check Zora yet, going straight into Ice Palace. So again, another one of those sort of risks that you take in these game 3s if you're feeling like you might be a little bit behind. Let's see where P-Train elects to go on his Ice Rod Hunt. At this point, there's really it's just up to the runner's choice. There's no sort of, you can look at like how quick you can do the checks, but there's like no inclination, like the Ice Rod's more likely to be in this area than another.
And it looks like it's going to be Shovel.
Yep, remembering that sometimes when you got an item like Shovel on Library in the early game, you might forget it, but P-Train showing us remembers that there is the Shovel there, and we'll get to see where that takes us.
And just so I'm saying that it's 4, 3, 2 hearts for red, green, blue mail. I noticed that is like contact damage, but their actual attack apparently does more, from what I've seen and experienced firsthand.
And we're just seeing a red 20 there over on the boot spot. We'll see if P-Train's going to do the same play into ice, but no, he's going to go do his boots check, showing off some nice game knowledge that the quickest way to get to the Bonk Rocks Lumberjack area is to flute to 8 and use that portal.
Alright, our first look at Lumberjack at long last. Have we had an Agassiz this entire time? We're about to find out. The answer is no, it's a shield.
Yeah, just a shield up there today. We have not seen Bumper Ledge for chat asking. We've really not seen any of the North Dark World.
We have seen another green 20 inside Ice Palace. I don't know if that is the first or second item. I haven't been paying complete attention to jmeasher, admittedly. Oh no, it's the second item because there's the fire shield. So yeah, we know where all 3 shields are.
Yep, and we just saw bombs over there in Bonk Rocks on P-Train side. Going to go over to King's Tomb, which is going to leave Grave. I guess you could do Graveyard Ledge after doing Catfish, but you're kind of leaving it on its own.
I mean, it's not that bad. You just hookshot across. Or you can route that in when you're checking Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, there's definitely options. It looks like P-Train's probably going to go over to that Pyramid Ferry plus Pyramid Ledge and Catfish. Just the most dense set of checks he can do right now, I would say.
Yeah.
And jmeasher has gotten all of his items and the big key, so he did not hit the switch before he did the icebreaker, so has to go in here to get a key to finish out this dungeon since he did not hit the switch. Though I think he's just electing to leave because he has all the items. He'd only have to be Cold Stare if he wants to do a pedestal pull, and deciding that he's okay with not doing Ice Rod pedestal today.
Yeah, that makes some sense.
And he's out of magic as well, so I don't know. He'd have to farm some.
Waterfall cave check here. This is actually, I think, our first check here. Red boomerang and extreme pile of 20 rupees. I think that's a vanilla red boomerang too, which is hilarious.
I'm seeing a green 20 on that pyramid ledge. We'll get our first look at Zora and Zora ledge, as well as our first look at Pyramid Fairy. And there's a 20. And the lamp. So that's where the lamp was today.
That puts all the dark rooms in logic. And also was the last logical piece blocking us from having this be a ped seed, actually, because of the minor dark rooms, I just realized.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's see if we've got a scam today or the ice rod. And it's the wrong blue thing, just a regular scam.
I'd say that's a worse scam. That's only... Normally you get a 20 rupee from that. That's just a 5-er.
Yeah, I think he realized that it's supply and demand. The locations are premium today, giving an even worse scam than usual. Looks like jmeasher is going to follow P-Train's footsteps and do the same set of checks he's just doing now.
Here's Catfish now, from P-Train. Is this our ice rod? Yes, it is! There we go! P-Train is in go mode.
1 hour and 9 minutes, 50 seconds. P-Train is in go mode, so he just got to go back to Turtle Rock and beat and it looks like he saved his portal, because he's taken a death warp there, and you wouldn't be doing that if you hadn't.
That's why I didn't check Graveyard Ledge.
Yep, they gotta, like I was saying earlier, and I kind of forgot as well, is that like once you do the Turtle Rock play like this, you gotta think about, okay, what are the good items I can check that preserve that portal? So something like Checkerboard Cave or Graveyard Ledge, those would all obliterate the portal. Though luckily for P-Train, I think most of the locations he had, he could still reasonably save the portal. So perhaps that weighed into his mind as to why he did Turtle Rock the way he did, but it's gonna pay off for him here.
Yeah, he's gonna pay out on spades. And also, P-Train has the shovel, so he can definitely dig up some ammunition in case ice armor must become required. I mean, he's got a low quiver stock. So yeah, just go through this cave. You don't normally see this cave in particular from this game. It's actually a fairly rarely seen cave. But it does have 2 fairies, and it also is a nice emergency exit, which will lead you, if you put your mirror portal down, straight to the back door of Pod. Or, not Pod, Turtle Rock. What is with me mixing up locations today?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't timed it. I don't know which one's faster, but you get the added benefit of getting that fairy on the way, so that's definitely a nice benefit.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that I think that going through the cave is slower, because there's a lot of transitions in the cave, but getting the fairy makes it worth it. At least, especially in hard mode. And I think jmeasher is fine doing smiths. I think this may be a last location, in fact.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because he forgot. I don't know if he went. Did he go up to Catfish? I don't think he did, because that's where the ice rod is. But P-Train's already pretty far ahead at this point.
I don't think jmeasher's done. I don't think he's done the Village of Arcus area at all. That or he's double checking.
And so chat asking about preserving the portal, you just you have to not use the mirror and save and quit to preserve it, basically.
And chat, we have the 7th crystal, so you know what time it is. I believe the bot's still down, unfortunately, so this is for fun. But folks, we have 22 chests in Ganis Tower, one of which is going to contain the Ganis Tower boss key, which we need to finish out this seed here for P-Train. Chat, you see the numbers flying around. Give us a number of your own, and guess where the big key is going to be. Dave, where do you think it's going to be tonight?
I like to go with number 14, which ends up in the randomizer if they are able to get the compass room before. Otherwise, it just ends up somewhere else. How about you?
Let's put it at 5. I wanted to be fairly early on. They've already got everything. Why drag out the seed any longer than it's already been?
Absolutely. When you have the ice rod hunt, it's nice to get a nice, quick GT big key.
I mean, we know where everything important is, save for the last bottle, the book, and the half magic. And neither runner definitely needs that at this stage. We're gonna go left side first with the torch. And as a reminder, folks, this is hard mode. They are not going to be finding the silver arrows.
Yep, so and with it being on hard mode and jmeasher having the items he does, there's really nothing that he could find in these chests that could help him. I can't even think of anything that would even help a little. I mean, maybe if he wants the... I think he needed the red boomerang, I guess, is the only item that he could even use that he doesn't have, but having 14 hearts, powder, cape, cane of burn, a tempered sword, you're good. You just go.
Locomotive was in GT. Featuring picking it up. Alright, Hope Room.
So these will be checks 6 and 7. So 6 is a blue rupee and 7 is bombs.
Yep, going with the Dark Magician route, as coined by the runner of old. Starting with the Stalfo's room and then going full right. I think there was a variation to it earlier, but I forget if it's goes left again or commits the full way.
Yeah, I think the most common one you'll see is the runners will not go full right. They'll just do this compass room and then go back to the left.
Yeah, let's see here.
So we
20
got
rupees, the final bottle.
Yeah, that's 9, 10. 11 is 10 arrows.
And jmeasher is about to find his ice rod. Unfortunately, that's only one piece of the puzzle he's missing. He needs to find the boots.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate because he's probably going to want to go... I guess Turtle Rock's only one item, so you have no really reason to rush that. Since you want to probably beat that last, but you could still choose to do it. Looks like he's going to go over to Smith too. At least get his go mode. We'll look at chest number 12 here on P-Train's side. That is 20 rupees.
Alright, so we're heading over to the Fire Snake room and then the Rando room, which is another group of 4 chests.
And number 13 is just a small key today.
I mean, 14's coming up here. This could be right here in Random Room, depending on which one it's open.
Yeah, we'll see. Still got a chance.
Mine was already dead in the water. Unfortunate, but it happens.
14 is just a green 20 today. 15 is the big key, and he's going to leave because, like I said, nothing that you can get help there. He's even got 2 keys, which is as many as you need to climb the top. So all execution here from P-Train now.
Yeah, but the only thing P-Train wants is a magic restore, which I don't know if he's got a green potion, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point. You could still find half magic. But
yeah,
not worth diving, considering that could be anywhere, and there's only a few chests.
He might need the magic for Ganon, actually, because with Silverlist, we do require a fair amount of magic to be used. But with Tempered Sword, with the lamp, should be fairly straightforward fight. So shouldn't be worried too much about that.
Yeah, for sure. If they were still on Master Sword and hadn't found the lamp, you definitely want to get some magic refills, since you have to be perfect on your triples if you have Master Sword. But with Tempered Sword, you got a decent amount of leeway to, even if you are just using the Fire Rod. Still probably like a magic refill, but runners of this caliber will go in there without one.
And jmeasher is now doing the Smith Chain. And will finally find his boots eventually. They're not on the Smiths themselves, unfortunately. They are on the purple chest.
And P-Train making his way through the gauntlet, doing a nice job so far, able to get through these first few rooms really quickly.
Now, where was the powder again?
It was somewhere in the Village of Outcasts area, I believe. And P-Train giving us Lamel 2 getting a bit unfortunate with the first phase, and then the short hop there, but going to be able to close it out really quickly after that.
Oh, now I remember. It was in the big key chest of Thieves Town, right? Right. Yeah, very good execution from P-Train here. Going up through the tower. jmeasher does have the purple chest in hand. Will eventually get his boots. Gonna check the hammer fakes first in the meantime. But I think this is the last location boots from jmeasher, and I think he pretty much knows that he's lost at this point if he finds them here.
Yeah, he basically had one item in a hero, Spike Cave, Misery Mire, a pedestal, and this, and Green Pendant. So it's pretty darn close to the last location from here. P-Train able to get through the gauntlet. It's going to skip all those chests because there's just nothing he wants, and we'll get close to the Moldorm fight now.
Gonna grab the magic from the help from the fairies and the full magic. And away P-Train goes to fight Moldorm here. Dash and spin. Classic two-shot combo.
Yep, real nice fight there from P-Train.
Dominated chest, as expected. There's the Cave Sapphic Row, finally. It's only 50 rupees, unfortunately.
All right, P-Train going to go into his Aghanim 2 fight. We'll see what kind of patterns we get and what sort of geometry we have today. This first pattern, pretty nice. Able to get a double.
And as P-Train begins the Aga fight, jmeasher is now in go mode.
A nice triple there by P-Train to close that out with a 3-cycle Aghanim, which is about as good as you can normally get on average, because you can only get those 2 cycles when you get nice patterns and no blue balls. So good fight there from P-Train.
Yeah, jmeasher now going to be going through the dungeons here, but P-Train already on the Ganon fight. And it's going to be 12 slashes or 6 spins for the first 2 phases of the Ganon fight. Afterwards, 4 more slashes to get him into the Darkness technique, in which P-Train just has to keep the torches lit. And then spin attack Ganon as he teleports away a total of 12 times to finish the fight. The window to hit him in this before he teleports away is only a couple frames, but the spin attack is so long that it's pretty much a sure to hit. You can do a slash, though. But, again, it's a near perfect window, like 2 frames. Just spin attack. It's way more consistent to get damage in.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a nice setup there. P-Train able to get the 1 cycle on both phase 1 and 2, which requires you to get like that little trident spin with the double spin off the trident first, and then you just gotta really slash away in that bottom corner there to get the 1 cycle on phase 2, and was able to do it, so we're on to phase 3 already.
Yeah, now you might see some lamp spamming in the lower left torch. That is to set up the torch glitch, because if you get the left torch relit before the right torch has a chance to go out during the darkness technique, the right torch never goes out. Quite handy, actually.
Yep, and P-Train getting a nice little free hit there on Ganon before lighting the torch, and then gets the torch glitch. So just got to do another 11 hits here, and Ganon will be down.
Yeah, and in terms of seeing the window here, folks, you might see Ganon in his flickering raise his hands up briefly before he teleports. That's roughly the timing. You gotta hit him when his hands are up like that.
Yeah, we just saw it in that bottom right, so it's a really nice little visual indicator. And yeah, the right torch, it will never go out if you write the left before the right goes out. If the right one goes out, then it behaves just like the left one is behaving now. But if you light the left torch again before the right torch goes out, it will stay lit.
And ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Get your GG's in chat for P-Train.
Yep, a really nice Ganon fight. Really nice way to close out this seed. So nice, bit of an ice rod hunt there, but otherwise a really fast seed.
And P-Train is finished in first place at a time of 1:23:08. And upon seeing the finish time, jmeasher has forfeited from the race. GG's to both of our runners.
Yeah, really great show from both these runners. And looks like they're both going to join us for an interview. So welcome, P-Train. Congratulations on your win, and congratulations on making it into round 2. GG's. GG's to jmeasher as well.
Yeah, hey, GG's.
GG's.
So I think the main point of divergence here in this route was in the early, right around when you guys were getting Dark World access, jmeasher elected to go up the mountain earlier, which got him his hookshot and knowledge of the flippers, whereas P-Train, you kind of stayed, you did Eastern Palace first, so you kind of had different options available to you. jmeasher, you want to talk about your route and why you decided what to do in that early game?
Yeah, I think typically speaking, even if Eastern's a crystal, I'm kind of hesitant to do it super early, just because, especially with the early mirror and hammer, I felt like there was a pretty decent chance that I'd be able to do pod into Eastern, and just save a little bit of time that way. Turns out I could have done that if I'd gone to Sahasralos first. I ended up not being able to do it, so I didn't really help myself there. But typically speaking, I like to leave Eastern a little bit later than some people do. And so I was kind of hoping that Pearl was going to be up on the mountain with, we had access to basically everything pre-Dark World up there. So I don't know. It felt like a decent play, decent chance that Pearl would be there. And I didn't feel bad about it because, yeah, I got that hook shot. I got a Master Sword. I got the knowledge of the flippers. And those flippers being there actually, I think, did end up hurting me late game because as soon as I had done Eastern and gotten that Pearl, I decided, well, let's just do pod really quickly while we're here. And then I'm just going to go straight back up the mountain because I know I need those flippers. I know I'm going to need to do another mountain trip regardless. So get the flippers, hope that there's something else in like Hookshot Cave or something, and then start just hitting up dungeons because we had access to a bunch of them early. But yeah, I guess as it turns out, if you don't do that and you just do kind of what I would consider a more standard route, going Thieves Town, Skullwoods into like a Smith Chain, yeah, that ends up being a lot better because you get those boots earlier.
Yeah, you're right. Those early boots played a big part in the seed. P-Train, how were you feeling when you saw those boots come out of that purple chest early?
Honestly, it felt good. I wasn't a huge fan of the early mountain play because I don't like the hammer mirror out on the mountain. It can be very slow, especially if Hookshot ends up being on Dark Death Mountain. So I didn't want to do that. So and Eastern's a crystal, so I'm like, when is doing a crystal ever a bad option, right? So I did Eastern, found mitts, and I was like, okay, thank God I put off the mountain. That might be a more efficient later. And then I found the pearl in Sahasrara's closet, and that changed like everything. Ended up going to the Village of Outcasts. I thought about going straight into pod, but I think at that point I was on 6 hearts and Fighter Sword. So that didn't feel super great. So I opted to go to Village of Outcasts because I mean it's a lot to do, but at the same time it just routes really well. So do Village of Outcasts, do the Smith Chain. I found boots. At that point I'm like, oh snap, this feels like a really good route at this point. I do Hype Cave, and I think at that point I flew over to check the desert area because I have my boots. I can full clear desert. Find Cana Samaria, and I'm like, Flippers, Hookshot, and a cane potentially from Go mode. Then you find Ether and Pod, and that I'm like 66% chance. I just need Nice Ride. Routed Skullwoods a bit aggressively. I went straight to the back, found one item, and save and quit. So I left an item in Skullwoods. When I went to the mountain, I found Hookshot and Flippers. I was like, oh crap. jmeasher could have had this for forever. I needed Bombos. I found Bombos on the mountain. And at that point, I was kind of freaking out because I had the Zora area. I had, by proxy, I had access to Pyramid Ferry and Pyramid Ledge. And there was a whole lot of bad stuff to pick from. And also, I had skipped quite a few locations at that point. In knee-jerk reaction, I opted to go to Swamp before doing Turtle Rock. Because even if Ice Rod was in Turtle Rock, I was going to have to climb the mountain again. So in my mind, it just made sense to do Swamp and then dive Turtle Rock for the Ice Rod. Because best case scenario, we find Ice Rod in Swamp, and you don't have to worry about it. When Ice Rod was not in Turtle Rock, I was sweating a little bit because I had skipped a lot of locations that I'd rather not go back to.
Minor shoutouts, by the way, to the Half Magic, which was the last time we were wondering where it was on the pedestal.
Oh, fun. Oh, it's so funny listening to you say that about freaking out, because I was doing the exact same thing for pretty much the exact same reason. Just, we were looking for different stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think once I went up, did TR and didn't get the Ice Rod, I started making some poor decisions. And I don't know if I don't think it would have mattered at that point, realistically. But yeah, that ice dip was just so ill-conceived. I was just kicking myself the entire time I was going through there, especially because I went with low magic and couldn't even get the last item out of there. So yeah, I was feeling the exact same things. P-Train, like, just, freaking out because so much overworld that I had skipped out on.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, like, it's kind of hard to even, like, I skipped an item in Skull Woods, I'll say that. But there was also... Sorry, my computer's giving me a weird notification. There was also things like leaving the item in Skull Woods, because if I went to the front of Skull Woods, I would have felt really bad about Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge. And there were just so many stray locations that if I go there, I feel like I'm actually committing myself to a lot more than just the one location. Like, Pyramid Ferry was very tempting, but if I do Pyramid Ferry, I feel like I have to do Catfish. And if I do Catfish, I feel like I have to mirror and check the Zora area. So, although there were locations that on their own I would really like to check, I didn't feel comfortable committing myself to that much overworld when, if Ice Rod's in Turtle Rock, it's, we're practically done with the seed at that point.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of noticed afterwards, P-Train, about your routing is that when you decided to go to Turtle Rock looking for the Ice Rod, most of the checks you had were checks that you could still save your portal with because you already had done like Checkerboard and Swamp Palace and Smith Chain. Did that come into your consideration with the decision to go to Turtle Rock rather than doing some of those one-off checks?
Kind of. Yes to the Light World checks. I had no clue what I was going to do in the Dark World. And even going to Catfish, I was kind of feeling bad about skipping Graveyard Ledge. Because usually I hookshot over there, check Graveyard Ledge, but that would have burned my portal. So I'm like, well, Catfish will be my last attempt to save the portal. And if it's not at Catfish, then I just mirror, do the Zora area, and, whatever, screw the portal. We'll figure that out later. And honestly, if it wasn't in the Zora area, I have no clue what I was going to do. Mire was kind of tempting. Ice was kind of tempting. Also, do I really want to lose because I left the Ice Rod in Skull Woods? But if I go back to Skull Woods, I'm doing Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge. And the items per minute, I don't think those are very efficient checks. So if it wasn't on Catfish, or in the Zora area, I was probably going to have a bad time.
Well, at least you're going to have a good time here because you are moving on into the round of 32. Unfortunately, jmeasher, this is the last matchup for your tournament in life here on, at least for this year. You had fun with the races, though?
Yeah, no, the main tournament's always a lot of fun, and I feel like this year more than any previous years, it's just been like, I feel like there was, I mean, no offense to anybody who competed in past main tournaments, but I feel like, you know, in groups, and even during the qualifiers, you know, like past tournaments, felt like you could play a little more safe and be okay a lot of times. This main tournament, no shot. Like there's so many really talented runners, and like I'm happy I made it to brackets. In all honesty, I feel like that is an accomplishment in and of itself. This definitely disappointed not being able to keep moving on, but at the same time, there's a little bit of relief because this can be a real grind. It'll be nice to be able to do some racing in other modes.
Yes.
I do agree with the decision. I would make the same one to keep the races standardized, if you will, no pun intended. But yeah, it can be a little bit draining. So yeah, disappointed, but I'm happy with. I'll be happy with top 64. I feel like that's an accomplishment.
Yeah. And Petrine, you of course already know who your opponent is with the other side of that mini bracket done. It is 1-up. You looking forward to that match?
I am. I think that'll be a good matchup. I think we're very similar in a lot of ways. He grinds NMG, I grind NMG. I think he actually has a PB lower than mine right now. You know, Rando, I consider ours to be, you know, pretty close in skill, so I hope those will be good matches.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to those as well. Folks, make sure to follow our two runners here. They put on an excellent race for us tonight. And of course, we have more races for you tonight as well. Going on right now, in fact, I believe we have Gamachi versus Rywick, which started earlier than before, and that is a doubleheader Game 2 over on SpeedGaming. And if you want to watch another match, join us on SpeedGaming 3 in about 50 minutes time from now, in which GF12 will race against Blaine. And that's going to do it at least for today. The next match afterwards is going to be around noon. It'll be Lin and Lin versus Magnet Hans over on SpeedGaming. And that'll be a Game 2 match. Any last... Oh, actually, I think one of our people left, so...
I'll just say thank you guys for the restream. Thanks for putting this on, and wish Petrine good luck going forward.
Yeah. So, folks, make sure to follow our two runners here. They put on an excellent race once again. Also, make sure to follow SpeedGaming 2 through 6 so you don't miss any racing action, not just a link to the past randomizer. Also, give a follow to my co-commentator, Dane8373, and, of course, our tracker, Mike and Kopi. And you can drop me a follow as well if you want. I have been Wolf0370, and from all of us here at Elite Fast Randomizer, we shall see you all next time, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks again for watching, everyone.